Hello Papua New Guinea, and thank you for tuning in. Welcome to another edition of Tanim Graun, where your voice, the voice of the everyday Papua New Guinean, can help change your nation. Almost 60% of our nation's population is aged between 15 and 38, and almost 3/4 of them don't have access to a paid job. For many, a life without work is a life without hope. Unemployed young people can become disengaged with society. They turn to alcohol, drugs, and a life of crime. Their plight is in stark contrast to PNG's economy, which is expected to grow by 11% this year. What are we as a nation doing to address this situation? Today, we'll be discussing the subject, is youth unemployment a ticking time bomb? Please join me in welcoming our panel members. To my right, I have Peter Balone, who is a lecturer and researcher on youth unemployment from the University of Papua New Guinea. Welcome, Peter. We're also very fortunate to have the Managing Director of the National Development Bank, Mr. Moses Liu. Please make him feel welcome. We have all the way from Popondetta, Emily Kendi. She's a youth rep and she's working with the Popondetta Urban Youth Foundation. Welcome, Emily. We also have Mr. Lorit Nuyo, who is the Commissioner for the National Youth Authority. Welcome, Lorit. And finally, Mandy Newton. Mandy has an interesting job working as the Marketing Manager and Job Training for Urban Youth Employment Project in the NCD. Welcome, everyone. To start the discussion, is PNG's youth unemployment a ticking time bomb? What are the social impact on youth unemployment for youths who are unemployed? And what happens when young people cannot find a job? And how do we address this? Now, Norit, you're in charge of the National Youth Commission. Can I ask you to start the discussion, please?
Youth unemployment is a problem, is an issue, is a national priority. And we, as a government entity, responsible for youth, we have been tasked to find some way out, and we have been doing that. But the challenge is enormous, and it requires concerted efforts from everyone. And thank you, Alan, for having the whole panel members here so that we can hold together as a team find some way forward. And as I've said, it's a challenge that requires concerted efforts from everyone.
Thank you. Peter, in your research, what happens when young people cannot find a job? Do you look at that aspect in your research in youth unemployment? What happens when they can't find a job?
When a young person who leaves a job, for example, if he or she works with a particular section or department for a certain period of time, and then he or she leaves the area or the work for various reasons, what we can classify, or from my perspective, I can classify as job separation. Job separation really occurs when they retrench from the work, or they are terminated from the work, or due to other personal reason. And from the perspective of our youth unemployment, they can also go into other areas to find out job. And there are different types of employment perspective that I can say they can accommodate the unemployed youth. For example, like frictional employment or structural employment, or technological employment, or seasonal employment. So they can get into those perspectives and they can be engaged in those areas.
Okay, thank you. Emily, I'll come to you. Now, you work with young people, obviously. In your experience, a lot of these young people that come to you, they come to you because they don't have a job, right?
That's right.
What are they like when they turn up and they can't find a job?
Most of them are desperate. Most of them come looking for answers, and they want an instant answer. And what we are trying to do back there, well, and with the support of others, is teach them something else teach them that they are the solution to the question that they are asking.
Oh, interesting. Mandy, you do similar work too in the NCD, right?
Yes, we have a project called Urban Youth Employment Project, where we provide temporary income by providing them employment into the different industries and providing them soft skills. So these youth, they do want to work, but it's about the opportunity. They do want to be known in the society that they have the capability, but it's all about the opportunity given to them by different organizations and what we can do together as all the groups here today.
And how do you find them when they turn up?
It's moreover, basically what they could do is they come for registration and we do the screening test. They need to be between the age of 16 and 35. And they have to have no education in the last 6 months, and they need to be living in NCD for 6 months as well. And with that we provide, then they go through basic life skill training for 5 days, and after that they go through pre-employment training, and there's another program called Youth Job Corps, which is a segment of our program. They go through 40 days hard work on the road. Basically they're providing a labor on the road, and which should give a message to other youth when they see these youth working, that hard work is not an issue. We can all work hard. And after that, then they come over to on-job training, where then we send over to different organizations for 5 months. And again, we paying them, and they're just doing the on-job training in different organizations. It's all about the employability. We try to teach this. There is a work out there. You just have to work hard and start your work from somewhere at the bottom. You just can't be managers or lawyers from the start. It's about the mindset of the youth, and that's where we're trying to teach these youth different skills, different areas.
Thank you, Mandy. Let me go to an audience question. Sharon, if you can ask your question, please.
What are the job market needs in rural PNG? How can they be developed, and which industries are they?
Thank you, Sharon. Norit, you want to start?
Thank you, Sharon, for the question. The job market out there is scarce. The opportunities, the job seekers, let me say, it outweighs the number of jobs opportunities available in the country. The challenge now is that we would want the institutions to be more responsive to the labor market in the country. We want to know what kind of jobs. I think there are many jobs in the country. We are capable of, PNG Papua New Guineans are capable of doing those jobs. But we need to have the right kind of skills, right kind of education to meet those demands. And so the institutions have to be put in, the proper institutions have to be put in place. Maybe more technical colleges, maybe more vocational centers, TVET programs have to be promoted in the country. I don't believe in having more universities. Of course we need universities to have more qualified Papua New Guineans to develop the country. But then again, the job, the unemployment rate is always growing, always increasing. And so equally we have to have some technical colleges, more technical colleges built so that the trend can be reduced to a lower level than the kind of rate that we are going.
Thank you, Norit. Moses, I'm going to bring you in now. Obviously, you do a lot of work around empowering people, particularly from the bank. What is your angle on this? Going back to the question that Sharon asked, what are the job market needs in rural PNG? Have you done any work around that in your organization, Moses?
There's two particular terms that we could use in this one here, productive and non-productive capacity. And we at NDB basically want to do and look at improving the productive capacity. We believe that the students, basically the school leavers, who come out of the grade 12 and all that, and also that of the universities, are not properly skilled to be properly engaged in employment. And therefore, there's a huge skills gap, basically. And so It's a big problem that requires all of government, all of societies to properly sit down and address and structure a way forward on this one. But we at NDB are trying our best to tackle this issue, assist to tackle this issue rather, by come up with some intervention programs like the Youth Enterprise Scheme that we've introduced. I spoke on this when we came with this program last year. Pleased to announce that the program is in place now. And gradually we will roll this program out. What it entails is that taking on the great tools that come out of the system and try to meaningfully train them into business skills particularly. So our focus is on business enterprises. And therefore we believe that if we do train young people with the adequate skills to be engaged in businesses, they can be able to
create their own jobs,
essentially. To create their own jobs. So our focus here is to produce entrepreneurs, produce employers instead of employees. So I think that's the end game. But for us to do that, we've started the Youth Enterprise Scheme here in Port Moresby as a pilot project, and we'll be rolling it out to the districts as well. So we're going to partner with the local MPs on this one.
Okay, thank you, Moses. Now, Peter, I want to bring you in here. You do some studies on youth unemployment. And it's interesting based on the question that was asked, and we're talking about training young people, more colleges, more technical training, so on and so forth. But I want to ask you, are the jobs there? If you're training all these young people, are the jobs there? Based on your research, do we have the jobs there?
Actually, basing on the research that I have done for the National Youth Development Authority, basing on youth unemployment, in my recommendation I have provided roughly five areas that can accommodate the youth. So let me say 5 areas of employment. So the first one I can say the frictional employment. And second is the structural employment that can also feed the unemployed youth. Okay, the other one is technological unemployment, the seasonal unemployment, and finally the cyclical unemployment. These are the areas that youth can be engaged in or sucked in terms of, for example, the frictional unemployment. It can occur when the people, especially the youth, they search for jobs that best suit them. And the other good example that I can get is the structural unemployment. It's really a pattern that demands can drive.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll come back and discuss that a little bit later, I think, as we progress. But you're watching Tanim Graun. I want to take us all to a talk out now. Let's have a look at this youth employing youth talk out that we have from Popendeda.
La grupi form lo 2013 nem kamoched lo initiative lo all so-called youths mipla try lo meki samla gudla something mipla tingo sem one mipla meki lo passing lo still mem gudla lo mipla ting bamla kisim bamla gold or silver or samla kain gudla something out of stealing. But at last mipla find out sem no ka bamla gudla something mipla end up one time disla something now. But asem mipla sit down na mipla ting go sem ting igo mipla look sem no gat wambla hope mipla try lo make something where bambla he can benefit land. This la initiative mipla create him lo give him opportunity lo all get a youth in lo oro province lo this la something where all youths can benefit long him. Mipla start lo work lo this la up now. time mi pla work long and mi pla work lo operating sa 2013 then mi lugo sem all sample boys blow me lo sample all up area all boy we mi sa around one time all start come lo involved now all to boy mi pla got big pla heart lo come inside and help him too like support him because this is something new pla mi pla start lo put him black and white, mi pla work lo like si contract now, mi pla give him lo schools now, mi pla give him lo offices now, mi pla give him lo company now. Time mi pla work lo kisim contract where inside lo even ward 1 to 11 or look osem this la legal group mi pla work lo operate work lo start lo build now, build. So time mi pla work lo run make him this lo operation belum pla ka mi pla start osem just because lo gamani give mi pla this la kind look lo body belum pla now. Mi sobi mosem time mi pla go sida wanta principal na mi pla talk and principal or headmaster or even boss money looking mi pla and take advantage of them must give mi pla sambla work lo satisfy needs belum pla em can settle mi pla so that time this la time mi pla work lo kisimol contract na mi pla work lo operate mi pla work lo kisim more attention lol wards lo ward 1 to 11 na mi pla all youth work lo kamet all work lo kamet na mi pla luko sem lilik time mi pla work lo operate lo 2013 na mi pla goyet emosem somehow this la group go big pla hogeta eben youth.
Currently we have 170 plus members in the Youth Foundation, which cover all wards from 1 to 11. I think the big turnout is from the youth who live and reside within town.
I think most now Ward 1 to Ward 11 under the populated local level, urban local level government. And there were about several consultations meetings that I had with them, with other stakeholders, representation from the provincial government, from the administration.
How I got involved with the Youth Foundation was after I noticed our town becoming clean. Now that was a big sight to behold, because we are so used to seeing Poponeta town being dirty.
Youths in our province, they have different mindsets, and because of certain situations. Orga to sem ting ta solo se making people youths inside our province, we are confused because ting and confusing all youths. They have the mind to do something, but 1 plus something emos make and to one is they are not educated. That's one. 2 passing on this one is something we play like criminal activities. Emos stop lo system lol mangi. So hard lol mangi but come out lo this la peer group. But the only way was you la come out lo this la kind group, you have to make up your mind.
Law and justice sector, they saw that it was really important for them to come on board and also give them support. So we had the first training for them. About 30 participants went through youth transformation leadership training. I think they said it was the first of its kind that they ran for the youths. Normally it's conducted for policemen, especially discipline forces and higher level of people.
So we actually pioneered this training, this program here in the province, and at first I thought it was a really complex kind of training. You know, the program was focused at critical thinking and helping us to think outside the normal everyday way of thinking, and it really caused our youth to start to open up, start to really participate in the group discussions. And I think personally, after I came out of there, I think that that's the way forward for our youth. What these youth need is rehabilitation.
So if the training was targeted them to transform them to become youth as a solution, not as a problem.
The general public and the general view of people is that the youth are a problem, you know, and I think that got proven wrong when they cleaned the town, and that we realized that the youth are actually a solution. Within the organization, you know, it's a 170 member thing, and it's such a huge organization, in terms of numbers to run. Last week we actually handled 60,000 kina payroll, where we paid our boys for the labor. The money came down from the urban LLG here, And I think that was our first milestone, in that it taught the youth, the importance of finding a job and earning an income.
They have seen the value of this organization. And everybody is giving a support in a small way to help them, because young people are tomorrow's leaders, and we want to see them become leaders of tomorrow. So actually now our town is clean. It used to be full of rubbish in the town. Now rubbish have been cleaned by these young people, and we are very happy about what they are doing.
And it's up to the rest of the general public, it's up to the government, it's up to every organization now, up to the rest of the world, I'll say, the nation, to come down and embrace this youth here, not only here, in other provinces. I know that this is a step forward. This is going to be a benchmark set, to really show that there are youth out there who want a change, all right, and they're willing to make that change if and only when we are met on common grounds.
Our congratulations to all the young people in Poponeta town and the Urban Youth Foundation. And we're very fortunate to have you here, Emily, representing all your 170 members. Tell us a little bit more. How did you come up with the idea to do this employing youth concept?
All right. Actually, there's a group of boys who got together, in search of funds for some activities that they were doing. And they decided to approach the Poponeta Urban LLG for a contract. And they were given a cleaning contract in town. And it so happened that after the first clean and the second clean, the town looked spotless. And so the Poponeta Urban LLG decided to engage them further. And after 2 months, we noticed that the town was clean. And the town had never been clean for 2 months flat before.
So that was a new thing?
Oh, yes. And this really caught the attention of everybody. And I, for one, I'm a stay-at-home mom, full-time. But I'm the kind of person who always asks the critical questions and always looks for solutions. And I thought that was an answer there to one of the questions I was asking. And I thought, why don't I get involved? And I think that's something that is lacking right now, is that nobody wants to get involved. Everybody wants to mind their own business. Everyone wants to be ignorant. I think if we start getting involved and making it our responsibility, we will actually find solutions. I believe the youth are a solution. They're not a problem. We tend to stigmatize, we tend to label them as outcasts, we tend to look at them as problems. But after getting involved with them, I found that they are, and it's proven, and it's been said that the youth are a solution.
Anybody else want to comment on this great happening in Poponeta? Nori?
Well, let me start. As Mr. Liu pointed out, the problem of youth unemployment is a global issue confronting the entire world, and so is Papua New Guinea. And because it is a priority, it is a national priority, so it requires national commitment. And at the Youth Authority, we want to ensure youth is part and parcel of the sustainable agenda that is now embarking by the government. We can address youth unemployment if we have some strong, coherent, integrated policy framework. And that's we need one immediately.
So we don't have one?
No, right now, nothing.
Thank you, Norit. Now, let's go to another audience question. Joshua?
Tell us about the World Bank-funded Urban Youth Employment Project. What are the results and the lessons learned from this?
As I mentioned earlier, the Urban Youth Employment Project is basically for income from temporary employment and opportunities to increase the employability. And the results, so far we have 12,100 beneficiaries gone through this project since 2012. And results are, the focus is basically on the youth to give them employability by providing them basic life skills training and making them work through Youth Job Corps and putting them through pre-employment training. And the results are when you give them these youth chance, they do want to make difference, they do want to succeed. And the major challenge we find in this whole program was that we need to manage the expectations. There are some youth when they go through POMTech or these skills training, they want to become managers, they want to become doctors, they want to become lawyers, but no one wants to become a plumber, no one wants to become electrician. That's where the job skill gap is right now. And we try to place these people into basic jobs, but they want to manage themselves into the high level positions. So this is one of the learning we have learned, to manage the expectations of the youth. And that's, we're doing that by ongoing counseling, ongoing career advice to these people.
What is the driving motivation for young people who are going through your program and they want to be lawyers and they want to be all these other things, but they don't want to?
I think it's what they see in the society. They think it's easy job, easy money. They just sit on behind the chair and they work. That's what they think, it's easy, but they don't see that those people must have also started somewhere.
Thank you. Now, let me ask, with these young people, and we've got a great project there that you're running for NCD, are there similar projects in other provinces aside from Oro where the youth employing youth? And
no, this is the only pilot project which is funded by the World Bank, and they're looking at taking that to different provinces as well, depending on to the government if they're willing to take that on board. So they are looking at Hagen and Ley as the phase 2. And of course the sustainability in Port Moresby as well.
Thank you, Mandy. Let me ask, and I'll ask you this, Emily. Working with the youth out there, what are the barriers for women in youth looking for work? And maybe you can tell us a little bit about that. And are there some differences between, say, women youth looking for work and male youth looking for work?
I personally don't really see much difference. It comes back to the individual, really, and that person's ability or that person's interest in finding employment. And what's available is not really available, you see. I think the problem is there's not enough jobs out there, and they can't seem to find the perfect job for themselves because they lack motivation. I mean, even as we speak now, in a couple of weeks from now, we will have the grade 8 sitting the exams, and then not far from there we'll have the grade 10s and grade 12s, and the country will be facing, I will be seeing a lot of dropouts, and that's just going to add on to the high rate of unemployment.
Well, just taking on from there, and I think I'll come back to you on this one, Norit. In terms of the statistics, how many young people are coming out of grade 8 and grade 12 and going into the community without finding, say, further education places or getting jobs?
About 17,000 in total pass out from grade 8 and grade 12. About 3,000 continue to colleges and universities, and 14,000 remain, and that's the figure we are talking about.
Where does the 14,000 go?
That's the problem. That's the task we, as a body, are faced with, and we're calling on everyone. As I've said, it requires a national commitment, and everyone should be working as a strategic team to address this.
Thank you very much. Let's go to an audience question now. Ethel, if you can ask your question.
My question goes to Desiami. Tell us about the National Development Bank Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme. Why introduce this idea in PNG's economically challenged business environment?
Through the Youth Enterprise Scheme, we want to produce employers, basically. We believe that there's a huge imbalance with, as you've heard, there's 80% of the school leavers in the education system do not have any jobs. So what future is there for them? And therefore, that's prompted us to come up with some business models, if you like, to see if we could engage the youth to be involved in businesses. And we've seen this model working very well in other areas, like in New Zealand and other parts of the world as well, and most so close to our neighbors in Asia. Parents send their kids to the school to get an education to be employed in businesses, or to find employment outside of their business environment. I think there's a culture there that they promote business engagement rather than jobs, because obviously statistics show that there's a little chance of them getting employment elsewhere. So we've looked at that our education system in Papua New Guinea, I'll just touch on that a bit and then answer the question. The 80% of students who come out of the system do not, as I said, have any hope of any meaningful employment, because of the fact that they are not skilled. And I'd like to put here that something is fundamentally wrong with our education system, which has been allowed by default. The education system has been allowed by default to create unemployment in catastrophic proportion, meaning that when you put up this question to me, is youth unemployment a ticking time bomb? Yes. With that particular numbers, based on those numbers of 80% unemployment, I'd say yes. Unless we do come up with some meaningful intervention. So what NDB has done is that we've come up with a working model elsewhere, but we want to introduce to our setting here to take on some of these, particularly grade 12 students, and put into business training. And we put them over a 24 months period. And first 6 months is basically training, make sure that they choose their own business model, provide business plans and all that. And we got partners in that field that monitor the progress of the students. And if they're successful, then obviously we will fund 100% of what they've initially invested. So it's a responsibility thing. The students, or the participants in the program must show some initiative. So we started with 150 applicants, and who were successful rather. We had about over 300 applicants. And then the successful were 150 students to start off on this program. And over the 6 months from January to June this year, we were left at only 49 because they went through and passed all the requirements of the training that were given to them. Weekly, they were checked on. Monthly, the consultants came in to make sure that they completed all the returns and all that. They did the accounts. So it's a training program. It's a guided, mentored program. And so after that program, they were able to, the 46 that remained were recognized for their commitment and efforts, and therefore they, if you like, they graduated to the next phase of our program. Okay, next 18 months, we'll see that they were funded to the tune of 1.3 million, basically to grow the businesses, which obviously they have started during the last 6 months.
Oh, well done, well done.
They themselves have done it. So now we're encouraging them, if you like. We've already put a carrot there, so they'll have to go and,
Okay, let me ask you another question. This is a follow-up to that. Now, obviously you're talking to Papua New Guinea here,
yes.
And this pilot was done in Port Moresby, and I'm sure the youth in, say, Popondeda or some other part of the country, they'll be watching this show.
Yes.
What do you have to say for them now that the pilot's been done here? Is there any good news for all the other youth out there?
Yes, there's a good news for the others as well, other provinces. We'll be rolling this program out to all the provinces next year. And this is the good part of it, so where you can come in as well. The youth can come in, where you can check on your MPs. We've offered to partner to roll out this program to each of the districts. And we've asked each of the MPs to inject part of the DSIP money. Obviously, there's about 1 or 2 million that is set aside in the budget for each of the districts to put on the economic activities. So they need to inject part of that into NDB for us to set up this program in each of the districts. We believe this is a sustainable program. As I said, it is working the world, and we've just proven in the last 12 months or 6 to 8 months that it is working. And I think there's some light at the end of the tunnel, basically. It's not all gloom there, but we need to start somewhere and develop this sort of programs in a structured way to address this big problem.
Well done, well done. And congratulations. Now, let me go to another question. Yes, you can give him a big hand. Well done to NDB and all the young people that are going through that program. Now, Mandy, I want to ask you this. You work with these youth, you train them. Where do the opportunities lie? Which specific jobs within our labor market, where do these jobs lie? And what are the skill shortages that we need to fix up?
We're not employment company, as you know, we are just a project. So I'm not so sure where the gap is in the industry right now. But however, when I go out and look for the jobs for these youth, it's mostly what they're looking for is low-level skill and labor market, where, like, for example, cleaning in the hotels, customer service, bar attendants, construction companies, that's where they are struggling to get the good people and good youth to work for them. And that's where no one wants to work right now.
Because everyone wants to be a lawyer.
And not everyone wants to basically have a job which gives them, you know, behind the desk as a white-collar positions. And there are some good examples as well where youth have gone into the blue-collar jobs, starting a job in a hotel, just cleaning a room, and today they're getting trained in a duty manager position. So there are some good examples out there. But the jobs where we find, or I find in this project, is basically on the labor side and construction, electricians. Everyone is asking me, do you have any electrician? Do you have any plumbers? Do you have anyone with this confined area, you know, skills? But we don't have those kind of people in market.
Norit, in terms of your work, are you kind of interested in where youth ought to be going in terms of where the jobs are? Which specific areas?
As we speak, there is no national employment policy. If there is one, it's outdated. There has to be a policy. We have started working on the National Youth Employment Framework in 2012 when I went into the office, and it's in the final draft. We will be launching it in end of October this month. Now, it was done in consultation to all the relevant stakeholders, including National Development Bank, Department of Labor and Employment as well, ILO, and so we don't want people to address this issue in isolated interventions, fragmented interventions. We want some strong policy framework to be put in place so that we will all be working together as a team to address this. I think we should applaud the work done by Mr. Liu and the team, Desi Aninan and the team. We are a partner in in these activities that they are doing, and we congratulate them. The youth entrepreneurship is a viable means of engaging young people. We need to create a culture, entrepreneurial culture in the country, so that everyone think along, you know, getting something done, that you can create your own employment. You know, you can be an employer of your own, and you can employ others, and these are the kind of culture we need to create among the population.
Thank you, Norit. But let me just rephrase this question. Obviously, NDB is doing some great things there. Young people who want to be their own boss, essentially, do their own business. But what about those that are currently going to be finishing year 12 and they're looking to pick a particular career choice where they're going to go and get trained? Which area should they be looking in? Which area should young people be interested in getting some training where you know there's, say, 200 or 300 jobs waiting? Do we have such information?
Right now, as we do not have that kind of information data in place, and the kind of figure that is coming out, like 14,000 from grade 8 and grade 12 living, I think there is no magic we can do. I think the government, we as a government, has to come up with some strong policies, like set up some institutions, set up some training institutions, technical colleges in response to the job demand. Like right now, the LNG project, the big infrastructure development taking place right from the district down to the national level, it requires technical people.
So the jobs might be for, say, bulldozer operators and
of course, the district development authorities are
drivers.
purchasing machines, big machines. And the youth needs to be employed, and no one is there to provide these kind of services. So obviously, we need some, institutions to be set up to train these young people.
Okay. Thank you, Norit. You're watching Tanim Graun. We're going to go to another talk out. And again, this is youth employing youth. We're going to be listening to the Medang Tropical Gems youth group. Let's take a look at this talk out.
Right in the streets watching
the big problem I see in Papua New Guinea is the breakdown in family and communities. In our traditional sense, the community was always strong. If somebody's sick, the village went and helped them. If somebody needed something, the community came together. Most of our leaders today, their school fees were paid by the community, not by individuals. Today we are seeing that community spirit break down. Reason being that the mothers and fathers go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, don't have time to look after the children, leave the children by themselves to go to school. They come back at 6 o'clock at night, have something to go to bed. They have no time for the kids. They have no foundation. The children don't know what is right or wrong or good or bad. And a lot of them don't have any Christian understanding of the teachings of the Bible and the love of Christ, etc. So the question is, you have a lot of youth don't know what to do, no focus, no training, so they wander the streets. And the problem is our community doesn't empower themselves to take control of that. Human resource is the biggest resource we have, the most valuable. Let's make it work properly for all of us, for every one of us, not just we are separate members of the community, because you are just as invaluable as the top guy. So let's work together. Let's empower the people in the village, make a difference.
Me GB, I started this group in 2013 at CWA with at least 300 members plus. They had all these high expectations. They thought that it was just like the normal institutions where they would come and then learn and then get their certificate and go look for a job. When we look closely into that, even today the university graduates, they have the papers, but there is no job. And what guarantee will these youths, after I give them the paper, they will go and work? So, I started thinking very hard on that, and then I said, no, maybe that idea I will put it on hold, and then I will go into mindsetting first. And that's where I started mindsetting, and it became so strong and so powerful today. And that's the missing link in which PNG will have to follow that if we are to catch the world after 40 years.
Name Lumi, I'm Alan. me been joining tropical gym. Time me no been joining tropical gym yet. Me no been got like or something. Time me been joining tropical gym now. Me been got like mindset. Me block line him now. It's like mindset that's all. And me give him like think lo me. Also na me make him like stop lo me.
For tropical gems, even if there's food on the table, that's a reward for what we are doing. And for us, we want to give back to our community. And my challenge to us Papua New Guinean is that what have you done for your country? The youth unemployment is a time bomb. And if we do not address it ASAP, as soon as possible, then there will be complete chaos. And there will be bloodshed and there will be everything. And that is a result of pure ignorance. We have 2 ears, but we listen, but we do not listen. We have 2 eyes. We see, but we do not see. Only those who are ignorant, and only those who are not willing to listen and change, and they're going to end up. But those of us who have a positive mindset, there's a guarantee that you are going to be secured. Are we going to still repeat the mistakes that we have done? Or are we going to stand together with tropical gems? And let's be mad. Let's make a difference. And let's be mad in Medang. Let's make a difference and let's not give up. Finally, I'd like to ask this question to the Tanim Graun panelists. What is the success formula for the youth of this country, the success formula for the unemployed youth?
In my life, but tropical gems, yeah.
God bless tropical gems, you're the light of hope.
For the successful societies in the world today, people are committed to making a difference for themselves. I think PNG, we need to take up and take our stand with that regard and develop the skills. Wanted to become somebody in life, we need to be committed to whatever we're doing. And education, as you said, is not in itself the key. How we apply the education is more important. And it calls for us to making ourselves equipped to be engaged. I think that should be our focus.
Thank you, Moses. Anyone else? Mandy?
No, Moses covered everything, and Peter has too. So yeah. It's a mindset, end of the day, and everyone has to take responsibility from corporates, organizations, youth themselves, government. Everyone has to take responsibility to make a difference. Otherwise, it will never work.
Thank you, Mandy. Let's go to an audience question now. You're watching Tanim Graun. Matthew.
My question goes to Emily and Peter. Are there any cultural pressures or threats unique to PNG that either help or hinder a young person from finding employment? What are they?
Thank you, Matthew. Emily, are there any cultural pressures or traits unique to PNG that either help or prevent young people from finding employment?
Oh, yes. We all know that coming from a Melanesian society, there are cultural norms, there are practices that limit more or less a woman or a girl. In PNG and right across Melanesia, we all know that to be female or to be a woman, you're instantly classed as a second-class citizen. And I don't think there are a lot of options available for women here in Papua New Guinea, let alone girls. But that shouldn't limit any girl that's sitting here right now. I think what really needs to happen is a change in mindset, and I would totally agree with coming away from past experiences. There are a lot of wild ideas out there that we haven't actually exhausted yet. So I think that in order to move forward, we still need to exhaust the ideas. We still need to look for ideas. You know, we still need to keep going. We have not reached a solution unless we have exhausted the ideas.
Well, thank you for that. Now let me follow up that with what you just said about exhausting ideas. And Peter, you mentioned earlier, and you said in the rural areas we have the potential for tourism and agriculture. Let me ask you this. What prevents young people, if they're going to be coming out of school or have already come out of school, from getting involved in those two sectors in a rural setting?
The difficulties that they face, it's based on the type of training that they should need to get before they try and engage in the agricultural activities or tourism activities. But the eagerness is there, but they need some form of direction or guidance so that they can prosper in the tourism activity or the agricultural activity. And in most cases, they have attempted to try and start off with, let's say, fish farming or agricultural farming. They have tried, but due to lack of entrepreneurial skills or financial literacy skills or these things, they really constrain those the upcoming entrepreneurs or those people who think of doing business.
Thank you, Peter. Now, we're coming to the end of the show, so I just wanted to ask everyone on the panel, in terms of some parting advice to young people, to parents who might be funding their young people to go for a particular type of training, whether they become entrepreneurs or they look for a job. What is our advice to all those young people that are now sitting there at home watching this show about how we can help them to overcome youth unemployment and contribute to nation building?
I would say that they need to just come out of their comfort zone and look beyond normal jobs, what we have in the market. So perhaps look at whether there's a teaching options, whether there is a nursing, whether there is a plumbing or electrician jobs out there. So come out of your comfort zone and don't just stick with normal day-to-day accounting positions or manager roles or lawyer positions. There are jobs out there, that's what I would say to everyone, but you just need to look for that particular job which might not be fits with your dream right now.
Thank you, man. Now, we all know what you're going to say, Moses, but maybe say it again and speak to the young people. What should they be, where should they be? They're sitting at home watching and they're trying to think about what they're going to do with their future. How can they find some employment, whether they work for themselves, and to help develop our nation?
The focus should be on engaging in business and not jobs. That should be the change of mentality in our homes these days. We should send kids to school to become a productive employer, engage in something. So basically it requires the parents changing the way of thinking, their culture of upbringing and bringing kids to the market to be employable. How do they do that? And then the education system as well. We hear that 80% of our kids are prone to fail. By default, our education system is allowed to fail our kids. So what hope is there for them anyway? And so I think we need to change the education system. There should be more skills training. Okay? By the time kids come out of the early education part should be a must. And we need an educated system, education population rather. But when it comes to 11 and 12, we need to make sure that majority of the curriculum should be based on skills training. From there on, there's the issue about those being left out. Those children should be encouraged to go to technical colleges. And I agree with Mr. Luyo on that one. We should build more technical colleges and vocational centers in all of the provinces. We started well after independence. We had technical colleges and vocational centers everywhere. Now they've all died away. And I believe that and it has worked, mark my word, that during the early stages of our nationhood, those colleges produced skilled manpower that were able to be used, like in the Bougainville mine, BCL. You still scoop those people because they had basic skills already, so they understand. So I believe that we need to relook at the structure. Is this an appropriate structure for us going forward? And to reverse these, as I said, they've been defaulted, meaning that they've been allowed to produce unemployment. Can we reverse this somehow and produce skills training in there? And the situation gets worse. So if the 80% that dropped out, okay, the 20% go on to colleges, but you know what? Only 1 or 2% find employment. That's a fact in PNG. So what happens to the other people who go to colleges and university? They're unskilled people. They join the what? The 80% already on the street. There's a huge unemployment, and therefore I agree that there's a time bomb. But let's not, be lost in this whole scheme of things. Let's find a solution out of that, and let's revamp the education system to produce children who have skills, basic skills to be able to meaningfully be engaged in their lives. And even if they go to colleges and all that, they must know how to do a basic trade, mechanic skills or business skills or whatever. We had those training when we went to school in the early part of our nation. Where are they? I don't know. I'm not sure about the current curriculum. How is it, been formulated? So we need to relook at the whole process, and then the whole of the community as well. How do we, structure ourselves so that we can address this issue here of unemployment?
Thank you, Moses. Now, Emily, I'm going to end with you. What is your message to the unemployed youth sitting at home watching this show? What is the very last thing you want to say to them?
Yeah.
I'm closing.
Thank you. I believe that critical times call for critical measures, and that should encourage each and every one of you to ask the critical question. Okay, being spotless doesn't make you second class. Being unemployed doesn't make you second class at all. I believe the solution lies in each and every one of you. Okay, you have the potential to create your own possibilities if you believe enough in yourself. Okay, you can't continue to look on the external because the external has failed you. It has failed every one of us. If you look within yourself, I believe you will find your answers. You are the solution. Thank you very much.
Well said, Emily. And so for everyone out there watching, parents, you've heard from the panel that there might be jobs in plumbing, there might be jobs in teaching, there might be jobs in nursing. So maybe if you're thinking of where your kids ought to go next year, you should be thinking about those areas. But in any case, Emily says you are the solution. So whether you become a nurse, you become a teacher, whatever you do, if you decide to go and start your own little trade store like we saw the guys in Medang, at least go out and do something productive. That's all we have time for today. So please join me in thanking our panel. We have Peter Baloni from the University of Papua New Guinea, Moses Liu from the National Development Bank, Emily Kendi all the way from Popondetta, Mandy, thank you very much. It was wonderful having you on our show. And of course, Norit, this is your second time. Thanks for joining us. Now, you can follow this program. You can go on and check out the website, www.pngepsp.org, or you can just type Tanim Graun and check us out. That's all we have time for today. We hope you will join us next time on Tanim Graun. Na Tingin, Tok Tok Bloyu by Tanim Graun.